In the early 1990s, a massive casino mogul spent over $100 million on a casino redesign intended to be the ultimate gold standard of luxury. He brought in the finest Italian marble. He hired world-class lighting designers who had spent their careers on Broadway. Every detail was curated. But just a few months after opening, the casino was losing money at a terrifying rate. The problem wasn't the games, the staff, or even the food. It was a single elegant clock hanging on the wall above the main payout window. In the world of industrial design, this is what we call a monument to arrogance. By putting a clock in plain sight, the designers accidentally broke the first rule of casino architecture: never let the human brain remember that time exists. That clock was a reality leak. It was a tiny hole in the hull of a ship that was supposed to be airtight. It was enough to remind players that they had families, jobs, and lives waiting for them outside in the sun. They took the clock down, and the profits came roaring back. To understand why this happened, we have to look at the secret science of how buildings can actually hijack your brain. This isn't just about picking pretty colors or expensive fabrics. It's about spatial design and the raw psychology of addiction. It is about how an environment can be engineered to override your logic, your sense of direction, and even your basic perception of time. For almost 30 years, the godfather of this design was a man named Bill Friedman. Friedman wasn't only an architect, because he was a former gambling addict who became a professor and wrote the literal textbook on how to build a trap. His philosophy was simple: a casino should be a black box. He believed that once you stepped through those doors, you should feel like you were in a different dimension entirely. Friedman's designs were famous for having low ceilings. Sometimes they were only 8 or 9 feet high. This was intentional. High ceilings make people feel small, exposed, and vulnerable, like a deer standing in the middle of an open field. Low ceilings create what we call artificial intimacy. They make you feel hidden. They make you feel safe. In psychology, this is known as thigmotaxis. It's the same biological reason a mouse likes to run along the walls of a room rather than darting across the middle. Friedman wanted you to feel like you were in a cozy, private burrow where the only thing that mattered was the glowing machine in front of you. He also pioneered the maze layout. If you've ever been in an older casino and felt like you couldn't find the exit, that wasn't an accident. It was a feature. Friedman hated 90-degree angles and long, straight hallways. In his buildings, every path is slightly curved. When you walk a curved path, your internal compass, a part of your brain called the entorhinal cortex, basically gives up. Without landmarks or straight lines, you become locally lost. This means you know you're in a casino, but you have no idea how to get back to the street. You are physically in the building, but mentally you are untethered from the world. Friedman also insisted that the gambling equipment be visible from the moment you entered. There were no grand, empty lobbies. There was just the game. He wanted the transition from reality to the zone to be instantaneous. He wanted to delete the outside world the moment you crossed the threshold. Even the floor beneath your feet is part of the machine. Have you ever noticed that casino carpets are incredibly ugly? They usually feature loud, clashing patterns and bright, swirling colors that look like something out of a fever dream. There is a technical reason for this. It's called cognitive load management. If the carpet is visually noisy and exhausting to look at, your eyes naturally go looking for something clean and ordered to rest on. In a casino, the only things that are bright, clear, and easy to look at are the machines. The carpet literally pushes your gaze upward toward the game. It is a visual funnel. But it's not just about what you see, it's about the friction. Casino carpets are engineered with a specific face weight, which is basically the density of the yarn. They make the carpet thick and heavy to increase pedestrian friction. It's actually slightly harder to walk on these floors than on a regular sidewalk. After a few minutes, your legs feel a tiny bit heavier. You get tired. You become more likely to take a seat at the nearest machine just to rest your feet. The building is physically telling you to stop walking and start playing. It is a trap built out of fabric and foam. Around the year 2000, however, a designer named Roger Thomas changed everything. He was designing the Wynn and the Bellagio, and he thought Friedman's black box was too depressing for the modern world. He realized that if you make people feel like they're in a cramped basement, they eventually get tired and leave. Thomas wanted to try the opposite. He used high ceilings, sunlight, and incredibly expensive materials like silk and gold leaf. This sounds like it would make people more aware of the world, but it actually used a different psychological trick, the endowment effect. When you are surrounded by extreme wealth and beautiful art, your brain starts to feel like you belong there. You feel like a high roller just by standing in the room. Your posture changes. Your confidence grows. When you feel rich, your loss aversion drops significantly. Losing $100 feels like a big deal in a dark basement. Losing $100 in a palace feels like the price of admission to a fancy party. Thomas moved us from predatory design to seductive design. He turned the trap into a destination. Inside these palaces, the machines are doing their own engineering work. Modern slot machines are a masterpiece of industrial design. Every sound they make is tuned to the key of C. In Western music, the key of C is associated with being home or resolved. It's a happy, safe sound. Even when you lose, the machine plays a celebratory sound in the key of C. This creates cognitive dissonance. Your brain hears a win sound even though your balance just went down. You feel like you're winning even as you're losing. Then there is the near-miss trick. Designers program the reels so that the jackpot symbol shows up just above or just below the pay line way more often than it should. When you see a near miss, your brain doesn't see it as a loss, it sees it as a near win. This actually releases more dopamine, the brain's reward chemical, than an actual win does. We also have to talk about the air. While casinos don't actually pump in extra oxygen, that's a myth. They do use something called scent marketing. They use the HVAC system to pump in specific smells that are designed to make you feel relaxed but alert. These smells are pumped in at a specific parts per million, so you don't really notice them consciously, but your brain does. They also keep the temperature at a very specific 68 degrees. This is just cool enough to keep you from getting sleepy. It ensures you stay in your seat for hours. It is an artificial climate designed for one purpose: dwell time. But let's pivot for a second. This matters for the next 100 years of our lives because the secret architecture of casinos has escaped the buildings. It has moved into our pockets. Every time you open a social media app, you are stepping into a digital casino designed by people who studied Bill Friedman. The infinite scroll is the digital version of the maze layout. There are no "the end" signs. It's a curved path that never stops, designed to keep you from finding the exit. The pull to refresh feature on your phone, that is literally the physical motion of pulling a slot machine lever. The red notification dots, that's the noisy carpet trick designed to grab your visual attention. We are living in a machine zone, a state where the self disappears and you're just a loop of action and reaction. Historically, this kind of design really took off during the Cold War. In the 1950s and 60s, there was a lot of anxiety about the world ending. People wanted to escape. Casinos offered a place where the sun never set, the war didn't exist, and the only thing that mattered was the next spin. But now, that escape has become a trap that follows us home. It uses variable ratio reinforcement, a concept from behavioral psychology where rewards are given at random intervals. This is the most addictive form of scheduling known to man. It is the engine behind every like, share, and swipe on your screen. In industrial design, we have a concept called user agency. It means the user should always be in control. A good chair supports you. A good car helps you get where you're going safely. But predatory design does the opposite. It takes control away. It uses your own biology, your dopamine, your eyes, your sense of balance, against you. It turns a customer into a user, and a user into a resource to be harvested. As we move into the future with things like virtual reality and the metaverse, this becomes even more dangerous. If we can design a physical building that makes you forget your family exists, imagine what we can do with a digital world where we control the gravity, the light, and even the very horizon you look at. We could build the forever interior. This would be a space where there is no such thing as an exit because the concept of outside has been deleted from the code. Designers could technically engineer a world that feels more comfortable than reality, making it physically and mentally painful to take the headset off. The $100 million mistake with the clock was a rare moment of honesty. It was a reminder that we are still biological creatures who need to know what time it is. We need stopping cues, signals that tell us we've had enough. Whether it's the end of a chapter in a book, the credits of a movie, or a clock on a casino wall, these cues are what allow us to be human. They give us our freedom back. Without them, we can easily fall into becoming batteries for a system that never sleeps.